Despite an unbelievable atmosphere at St James's Park, it was disappointing for the Geordies, following their 2-1 defeat to a Marcus Rashford-inspired Barcelona. Brilliant. Manager Eddie Howe was asked after the game if the size of the occasion got to his players.
I thought the hype's not necessarily a negative for us. I think this game was always going to be talked about and always going to be an exciting one for our supporters, and I thought they were brilliant for us tonight. Just so disappointed we couldn't get that first goal, because I think that would have, taken us to another level. But the effort and endeavour was there from the players. There was no lacking in terms of heart and courage, as I said. And yeah, look, we can be critical of a couple of things that we could have done better, but ultimately we'll analyse it and try and improve and try and grow from this experience.
Ray, I don't think the size of the occasion got to his players. I just think they had
their chances
early on.
Yeah.
If they'd taken them, it could have been a different result.
Absolutely. If you get that first goal, Barcelona will be on the back foot. And, goals are so important in certain parts of the game. And if they could have got that first one, they had a couple of really good chances.
Oh,
as well.
Barnes
had a
Gordon.
couple, yeah. If they got one of those chances,
I agree.
It could have been a different result.
Let's get stuck into this a bit, find out where exactly Newcastle went wrong. Say a very good morning to the chief football writer up at the Daily Mail, Craig Hope. Craig, very good morning, Craig.
Morning, Craig.
Morning, guys.
First of all, what an atmosphere. I was listening to McCoy's on comms. It was magic. The flags flying, the noise. Even the Barcelona players come out and were smiling. And it could have been so different, Craig.
It could have been, Alan, and it should have been as well. And that's the frustration, in the moments before kickoff, I bumped into Super Mac, Malcolm MacDonald, and like me, Malcolm was aghast that there was no striker on the pitch. And what we've seen so far this season is that when Newcastle play without a centre forward, they don't score a goal. And I said to Malcolm, I said, I'll see you back here at half-time for a cup of tea. And what we'll say is Newcastle have played well. They've started fast. They've started furious. They've been on the front foot. The intensity is there. The crowd is up for it. Wow, what a wonderful occasion. But we'll get to half-time and they wouldn't have scored a goal. And that's exactly how it played out. Now, I can count on one hand, perhaps even one finger, the amount of times I've said this in 4 years, and that is that Eddie Howe got it wrong. Now, there's a little caveat to that. He chose not to play Nick Voltemade, who came in on Saturday, had that wonderful storied debut, scoring the only goal. He didn't start him last night. Now, I felt that was the wrong decision because Nick Voltemade had a feel-good around him, a real newfound cult hero status, and he would have taken that into last night. Now, Eddie's paid to make those decisions, and if Voltemade scores the winner down at Bournemouth on Sunday, you can argue
Maybe
that's potentially a bigger game. There's means to the end. But if Nick Voltemade starts last night, for me, he scores one of those chances during the opening period when Newcastle were fast, they were furious, they were brilliant. And if they score the opening goal, like they deserve to, I think they go on to win the game.
Yeah, that Bournemouth game.
I think they're looking at. I think they was looking at that. Gordon's out though, isn't he, for Bournemouth, and they're just rotating it a little bit, saying, "Well, we just got to manage him." But I think you're right, Nick. The way he got his goal against Wolves, brilliant header. And he'd be buzzing to play in that sort of game, wouldn't he? I mean, everybody wants to play against Barcelona, especially being at home. And again, if he got a chance and he did score, imagine how he's feeling.
Craig, they were good in midfield, the two central midfield for Barca, weren't they? Excellent keeping the ball, especially when they went ahead.
Oh, wow, Alan. I spend a lot of time up here talking about how good Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton are as a three. The best midfield triumvirate in the Premier League, we say. Well, they came up against two last night in Pedri and Frankie de Jong. I love Pedri. I remember seeing him play at the semi-final of the Euros 4 years ago at Wembley, and he was tremendous for such a young man, and to grow into that player who just controls and dictates the tempo of a game. We think Newcastle's midfield three are good, Barcelona's midfield two are even better. I thought they were sensational.
And Craig, not all's lost. I'm looking, Jose will bring his Benfica. Who else we got in Newcastle the next three games? They've got St Galway or something. What would they call them?
Yeah, Union Saint-Gilles. No, I think you're exactly right. All isn't lost, and that in a way is a slight sadness of this bloated format. Because while last night was a wonderful, huge occasion, it actually wasn't really, if we're being honest, a huge game in terms of the significance of the outcome. Newcastle now have got 7 more bites at the cherry to get the 9 or so points they need to go through in the top 24 out of 36 teams. The league format is a nonsense. So that is why last night is far from catastrophic and probably was part of the reason why Eddie Howe did choose to rotate. So no, I think we saw enough there last night in Newcastle's performance against a very good team to suggest they will have enough to go through.
Yeah, and 2 cracking goals as well, wasn't it? I mean, from Marcus Rashford. Tuchel's in the crowd. He spotted Tuchel, and he'd be delighted that Marcus Rashford, if he can carry on with that form for Barcelona, then I'm sure he'd be on that plane in the summer.
Yeah, well, I was on this station last week from Belgrade talking to you, Alan, and we're saying how Cole Palmer can't get in that team, Bellingham can't get in that team, Phil Foden can't get in that team. Well, Marcus Rashford isn't in the team at the moment, but on the evidence of last night, he absolutely should be. Now, he didn't have a brilliant game in that the first half. He was tearing at Newcastle in the manner Anthony Elanga was for Newcastle against Barcelona. But when it came to it, when that game needed a difference maker, wow, was he that? And that's what the very, very top players do. He showed the 2 key moments of predatory instinct, and that finish for the second one was just sensational. Yeah. And yes, with Tuchel there, it's another nice problem for the England manager to have.
Absolutely. Craig, nice one. Enjoy the game down on the south coast against Bournemouth. Craig Hope there, Daily Mail's chief football reporter. Just let me touch on before we break, Ray, on the league format of the Champions League. Some people, Craig's against it, some people absolutely love it.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't get games like you were getting early in the tournament, would you? Usually, I mean, because they'd be all different seeded in different groups, but I don't mind it. Look, it's all about money at the end of the day.
I wasn't happy to begin with, but when you're watching games like that,
cracking games. I mean, you wouldn't have had Bayern Munich v Chelsea, and some of the games we watched over the last few nights. So in that respect, it's good. But it always gives you a chance as well. I mean, even if you don't get in that top bit of the table to qualify automatically, it gives you another shot in the playoffs. And the problem is a lot more games though. So you could argue, well, that's why people get more injured because there's more games to play. But it all comes down to money at the end of the day. I mean, the revenue, the clubs will get more money by playing in this format. So I don't mind it, if I'm being honest.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.